So we're going to kick off our first of these calls. I'm really excited to start rolling out some more info from our top earning affiliates on the West Coast. And really the goal here is to get some tips, best practices, and just your general experience out to the affiliate owner universe. As we all know, it can be a lonely place running an affiliate. So CrossFit is really invested in getting more and better tools out to affiliate owners. And I really feel that the voices of successful affiliate owners is one of those tools. It's one of the best assets that I think we can share. So that's really what this platform is for. I just want to begin by introducing everyone that we have here. So if we could all just go around, say your name, say your affiliate name, and the city and state that you're in. And then if you could also include how many years you have been an affiliate. So I'll go first. My name's Katie Hogan. I own Megawatt CrossFit in Pleasanton, California, and I've been an affiliate since 2017, so 6 years. We'll go to Parker. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, that technology. Ryan Parker, CrossFit Northgate, Santa Rosa, California. We've been an affiliate since 2013, so we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary this Labor Day.
Congratulations. And then John.
John Guidoux, University Place CrossFit. We're in the Seattle-Tacoma metro area in the state of Washington, and we're coming up on our 6-year anniversary. We were established in 2017.
Awesome. And Bryant.
Bryant Powers, CrossFit Oahu, which is out here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And we've been affiliate since 2006, which, God, I don't know how long that is doing the math, like 16 years, something like that. It's up there.
So cool. Well, I appreciate you guys all being on the call. I think it's cool that we got some representation of different states as well. Essentially, the goal here is really to address staffing. So we'll hit different topics on different calls, but I wanted to get this one out there because one of the most frequent discussions when I'm talking to affiliate owners is, how do I get more trainers? I need more trainers. Get me a trainer. They're low on staff, or sometimes it's also a discussion of the level that their staff is at. You know, I have trainers, but they're all part-time or they're all inexperienced. And what I really need is, you know, someone that can take on either more classes or someone that has more experience. And so being that request is happening again and again, I want to talk a little bit about each of your experiences with staffing. And we realize that sometimes that's going to be a little bit of a long game. You know, we don't all have the answer of like, this is the answer. You'll get a new trainer that's fulfilling and checking all those boxes tomorrow. But I am really curious to hear your guys' experience. So I guess let's start with, how do you get trainers? You know, how do you get them and or create them? And any experience you'd like to share with that? And I'll kind of let you guys just hop in and we'll take turns in that way versus going in order.
I can kick off. I'm actually very blessed in that I'm kind of like turning away trainers or people that are coming to me. I'm putting them on the bench and kind of working them into a pipeline. Yeah, and I'm actually at the point where, you know, I'm on the schedule pretty little. You know, I like to coach at least one class a day. I don't like to miss too many days, but so I think it goes back to the environment that you create. So all my CrossFit trainers have come up through my membership base, and I haven't reached out and like sought or advertised for any CrossFit trainer position. And I think it goes back to the environment that we create, the community that we create, and the way we take care of our trainers. And they are leaders of the community. And the rest of the community sees that, and the folks that want to lead in the community want to be trainers for us and come to us. So we take really good care of them, and that's not just with pay. We have a fully stocked coaches lounge that with snacks and coffees and drinks. We pay for their development. We incentivize with bonuses. We're blessed to have an Arasti attached to us, so all of our trainers get free body work through complimentary through Arasti. Our trainers, their family, also their memberships get comped. And we provide competitive base pay. So by really taking care of our trainers, investing in our trainers, developing their leadership skills. We have monthly meetings, leadership developmental meetings, and we're talking about how we're managing and instilling the culture of the community. And then just growing a robust community that takes care of itself. People want to be leaders of the community. They want to train and help others because you've kind of made that trainer position look good and be desirable within your community.
That's great. Yeah, we'll probably dig in a little more even to some of those avenues about how you create that, those amenities or, what draws a trainer in, but really that's great. Create a space that trainers want to work in, and you will have more and more interest in it, have to put some on the bench or even turn them away. That's great.
Hey, can I ask a question to John?
Yeah.
John, I think some context would be helpful. How big is your affiliate, kind of square footage wise? How many members do you have, and how many trainers do you have on staff?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in our second location. My first location was a little less than 5,000 square feet. We doubled down in COVID and took over a over 10,000 square foot space. So we have a few subleases. I mentioned Arasti. We are also subleased to a jiu-jitsu studio and subleased to a esthetician, massage gal as well. So those three subleases really help with the overhead, our rent. So the total square footage is over 13,000 square feet. I think we have probably about 11 of it now after those other subleases. We're up to 552 members, but that includes punch card holders, that includes kids, that includes our seniors programs, our Club 55. Our punch cards do have, our 10-pack punch cards have a 4-month expiration. Our 20-packs have a 6-month expiration. So we don't leave a lot of those people hanging out there for a long time. But 552 is the number this morning. That number fluctuates, day to day, when we add, when we drop, when those punch cards expire. So all of our members, so like 552 people could sign up for a class at any point. And we're up to, including my wife and I, about 15 trainers on staff. All of my trainers are part-time besides my wife and I, which this is our full-time job. This is our career. This is our baby. This is our passion. This is our love. And then every other trainer also has another form of income besides just training at UPCF.
Got it. That's helpful. And I think for people who are, affiliates who are coming along and struggling a little bit, I think establishing a good expectation as to what's going to be required of them is important. If you have enough space to move into, how many members do you need to justify that space? That's an important equation to understand. And then what kind of staff are you going to need to support that? And what are you willing to do? I don't know how it was for you, but when we opened the gym here, I was willing to coach 100% of the classes from day one until I didn't need to anymore. I'm not sure. I've talked to some local people that try to do this part-time or have, they've got a side hustle or a full-time job. And I think that's a really hard thing to do, is to staff from that position before you've built it. So just some perspective.
How many coaches or classes do you coach now?
I still coach about 15 a week, 15 to 20 between privates and classes. So I still do this full time.
Yeah.
I started coaching a ton of classes myself. It was just my wife, myself, and then my brother-in-law, who was very part-time. He's also a police officer. When we initially established, and hiring hard is definitely, like not just going with the first person that's like, hey, I want to train and I want to coach for you, is definitely a great strategy. And looking for those character skills, service orientation. We've put together a pretty robust coaches conduct agreement. So just like you were talking about, having those expectations clearly laid out is something that we're strive to do. And so the coaches know exactly what they're walking into. And then I also firmly believe the better you take care of them, the more you can challenge them on the back end too.
What do you guys think, Parker, Bryant, about hiring from within versus hiring someone that's already got experience as a trainer? I'm sure there's pros and cons to both. Is there one you gravitate more towards, either of you?
Yeah, no, I think hiring within would be my first priority. And I mean, there's always a set, you can kind of work around the rule, but I would always have somebody be a member first, even if they like, and it happens quite a bit out here because we have, like a military person move out and they're like, hey, I've got a CrossFit level 2. I'd like to, coach. And generally we always have them be a member first because they don't know if I'm a complete weirdo or something like that, or if they're going to fit in or something. But yeah, I would say always, starting from within, it would be my preference. I'm excited to hear what everybody else is too, because when I was like thinking about this meeting, I was like, if you go to a workout and you're thinking about as an athlete and you're like, oh, okay, we've got a lot of double unders today, we've got a lot of like weightlifting, I'm kind of weak at gymnastics. I would say as an owner, staffing is my weakest part. I can definitely talk about a lot of mistakes I've made over the past at different careers and stuff. So I'm super excited to hear what everybody else has to hear here. Other stuff I probably have a lot more like to add, but staffing, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, and what's so great about hiring from within is, so when somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, I'm interested in training for you," that's awesome. That's so cool. We're really in the relationship business, so establishing strong relationships is a key aspect of training and coaching here. So make sure you're introducing yourself, especially to newer folks, and really immersing yourself and getting to know the community. And then I can step back for the next couple of weeks and watch that person. Are they proactively introducing themselves? Are they walking around and giving high fives at the end of the workout? Are they being positive? Even if, maybe they suck at double unders and double unders is on the board, are they sitting there complaining and moaning and groaning? Or are they, approaching it with a growth mindset and being open to working on their weaknesses? So it's really nice to start assessing and evaluating their character and their skills while they're a member of the community, and starting to give them some feedback and challenges and see how they do with those.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree like it would be better to pick somebody who's happy with maybe worse technical skills and help them build the technical skills than somebody who's really technical but has bad people skills?
Yeah, exactly. Because the people skills are much harder to develop than the technical skills.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about if you're not getting the inquiries? You're not getting the, I really would like to coach for you. And you're like, cool, it's a people person kind of job. I want to see how you interact. What if it's just like quiet? What are you looking for? How do you find that person? And maybe even, dare I say, convince or encourage them that this might be something that could be their calling.
Well, that's how we got our full-time employee. I mean, we also have, all of our employees have been hires from the community. And it took a little bit of convincing to get my full-time employee, and she's a rock star. She's amazing, but she had a job. She was happy in her career. I mean, I don't think she loved it. It wasn't her life's calling, but so it took a little bit of selling and convincing, but we definitely approached her.
Was that more of a convincing her that she'd be great at this and love it, or more convincing her with like what you'd be able to provide her in terms of, income and things like that, incentives? And
it was a while ago. I don't think it was like, I think we exceeded what she was earning currently. I think it was more selling her family on, having a career as a trainer.
Yeah.
Versus doing a corporate job.
Right.
And those are just, but I would have to ask her specifically.
Sure.
Circle back with her at this point.
Well, go ahead, Bryant.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut off. My suspicion would be if you had a really fun environment and it's a really fun affiliate, and if you as the owner are really into coaching, bringing stuff up all the time, I think you're going to have people gravitate to want to emulate that or enjoy that success versus having to force people to like look for people or something. That would be my suspicion. That's how it's been, I think, for us. We've always had a lot of people ask, kind of like John, to want to be a coach or bring that up. So I think probably starts from the top and that pulls people in versus having to find people.
I think that's huge. I think that's a really hard thing for some to acknowledge or be able to say, when I'm coaching class, am I always giving my A game? And am I actually enjoying it? Or is it just a grind now because I'm buried, I'm running the gym and I'm coaching majority of the classes or all of them, and I'm tired and I'm overworked. And so I know I'm not probably making it look like the most fun job in the world. When I know for me, when I was in my coaching heyday, I didn't want to be anywhere else. Like I left the security of the job with the health insurance and all the stuff to pay health insurance out of pocket and be a trainer and find personal clients to supplement that. And I was like, I don't want to do anything else. I am so just, my fire lit up when that was, put in front of me as a possible job. So I think it's hard to acknowledge that maybe that fire has fizzled a little for some owners if they're pulling the majority of the classes, or maybe their staff is kind of coming off that way. And so no one is experiencing these classes and feeling like, wow, this guy loves what he does. Or this girl is just like, we'll never leave. She just loves it here. I want that. Because that's what sold me on becoming a trainer. There was nothing else I wanted to do. And maybe, I don't know if anyone has anything to add on that, but just like, is that where you have to have some conversations with the trainers that are.
You have to have a conversation with yourself at that point.
Yourself, exactly.
I mean, I hear this messaging a lot, like, oh, I'm overworked, I'm overstressed, life is so hard, poor me. If that's how you're approaching your class, that's how you're going to approach your business, your coach development, and your life. I mean, that's what you're going to carry around with you. So if there's a hint of, in your ethos that says this is hard, you shouldn't be in business for yourself. Go work for somebody. You can take sick days and get paid for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a service-based business. You're out there to give the best service. And I think you always, like Parker was saying, as an owner, especially, you've got to put out the best class. And like, even if you're having a crappy day, there's no point to sit at the whiteboard and, oh, look at my day, it's so crappy. I mean, essentially, you're like a stand-up comedian in a way. If you're teaching a class, you've got to go on there and put on the show and do your best. And behind the scenes, it could be something different, but you're not there to bring members down. They could go watch Netflix or something like that. And that is hard if your passion's not in it, or if you're stressed with the bills or something like that. But that's what you've signed up to do. And hopefully, I mean, that's something that people can think about, like Parker was saying, have a conversation with themselves.
That's a great point too. I think that when you're, let's say you're having a rough day and you are tired. In fact, you didn't get enough sleep. You are run down. You're dealing with some big life stuff that's happening concurrently. And maybe like you're not like on point to do like a stand-up comedy routine. Are you still going to be technically proficient? Are you going to say hi to everyone in your class using their name? Are you going to use their name at least 3 times in class when you're giving them coaching cues? Are you going to give a good warm-up that's really specific to the work that you're going to be doing? I mean, all the things, and then when you finish, are you going to tell everybody you did a good job? And not just like, hey, good job, but specifically point out something that they did. Hey, I saw you working on squat depth today. That's getting better. Good job with that. Whatever. I mean, you don't have to be in a good mood making people laugh to deliver a really good class. If you're not doing that, you're just, letting yourself off the hook.
And you would say, Parker, you have that in the back of your head ingrained so much that you can do that rain or shine, right? Like,
yeah. And I think that, I mean, for me, it's like every class is an opportunity, because listen, there are a lot of days when, like, after doing this for a decade, that like, I don't want to say I don't want to do it. I never don't want to do it, but like my energy is not good. If you gave me the opportunity to like go lie down and have a nap instead, I would take that opportunity. Right. But those are the chances you get to challenge yourself. Right. When you're standing there, you don't feel 100%, be like, okay, cool. I don't want to do this. So how good can I make it? Can I make this the best class I'm going to do today? Right. I mean, it's just like, it has a lot to do with just your mindset.
It's a lot like when we're training, right?
It's exactly like when we're training.
Kind of funny if we can approach it in that same attitude. There was, I read through the playbook cover to cover recently, because I really wanted to make sure I wasn't just skipping through certain parts. And the playbook that CrossFit puts out has a lot of cool nuggets, and a lot of them go back to this stuff. And it's like the character behind a lot of it. There's a lot of nuts and bolts stuff, and here's an email for how to raise prices for your members. But There's a lot of stuff that really gets into the character of the gym, the culture, and the people behind it, which is essentially you and your staff. And there was a line that I loved that says, when someone's life is full of chaos, they need the opposite from you. And that's order, positivity, and cleanliness. So we'll get into cleanliness on another call, but exactly that, like you being frazzled, you being overwhelmed, stressed, negative, any of that to any degree, they might not notice it in the moment, but people feel that. And when they receive the opposite, every time they step in your facility, and that goes for someone that might maybe want to be a trainer, they're like, wow, every time I'm interacting with this person or anyone in this facility, that's my takeaway. Things are dialed and it's a place I want to be. That's a way, I think, a great way to get staff. John, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I love it. How we perform is like our bar and our standard, right? So, I'm kind of battling some allergies, and I don't have central AC, and we kind of got a little heat wave going, so I haven't slept very good. But hey, I coached at 8:30 this morning, and I had some of my coaches in it. And exactly, like I challenge it, like I'm still going to deliver a damn good class, because if I mope around and I'm, like, oh, I don't feel good, and I wish I could go take a nap or whatever I do is now acceptable for my trainers to do, right? And so I still have to hold those high standards and that high level of accountability, so that they will continue to perform at a high level.
And I always feel better after I coach. Like, even if I don't want to go in and coach, like if like Parker and John was saying, like if I finish teaching classes, I'm on like an up point at that point. Like if I had to deal with some other situation that's more admin focused, I was like, oh, I'm really stressing on this, or I got to get this thing done. Coaching is the best part of my day, really, with working out. So I always feel like after I coach, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm feeling good, because it might be one of those fake it or make it things. So I'm changing my attitude when I jump in there. But I mean, I think that's one of those things that
hey, I'd much rather coach than do taxes. That's for damn sure.
Or be in any other job for me. I'm like, I think of like, what's
Yeah.
the alternative? Oh my gosh. Well, I definitely was, I mean, we can keep talking about this for sure if anyone had anything else to add, but I definitely want to get into some of the approach behind how you incentivize and or really just how you compensate your trainers. So John, you started to highlight some of those things when you were listing them off. If any, I would love to hear how you pay your trainers. And I know this is going to be relative to, where you guys, where everyone's located. And if, anyone outside of the West Coast sees this, again, it's all relative. We get that. But how do you pay your trainers in terms of what's their rate, but also, some people have like a base rate, but then there's ways to make income on in addition to that. And are there bonus opportunities? Do they do personal training? And if so, how does that relationship work in terms of paying the house versus keeping it? So if anyone was willing to kind of start that off.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, we've done a ton of different things. And I'll kind of blast out some here and not try to take too long. I mean, right now we have one facility. It's 13,000 square feet. And we have a lot of coaches that are part-time coaches, and essentially they get paid hourly and they do a little bit of a trade. And I've set it up like that because they, like John was saying, a lot of them have other jobs or fire captains or doctors, and they actually like to coach a little bit. They're super excited. They bring their best energy, and it's set up that way so that I can have a pretty standard, easy life with everything, and that they're bringing their best energy and nobody's super overworked. At one point though, I owned 5 facilities, and when I had 5 facilities, each one had a head coach that was a full manager, and I used a company called Employee Fiduciary to set up a 401k system for them. We had healthcare, we had a percentage of revenue share, and there's a lot of like nuances with all that, but at each of the facilities they had one full-time coach, and then we had some other coaches that got paid hourly, and then a percentage of personal training. And then later, hopefully in this call, we can get into it because we're talking about staffing, but I almost think outside of coaching, admin staffing is one of the diciest and most important staffing that's like behind the scenes. But so, yeah, anyway, right now we have a lot of just kind of part-time coaches, which is paid hourly.
So they
And
don't get anything like 401k, healthcare, revenue share. That was more so for the full-time, right?
That's when we had the 5 facilities and we had a full-time. Yeah, and healthcare would be like working over 20 hours. And a lot of coaches, it's an hourly job. So unless they're good at selling people on personal training, which is kind of a dicey word, or the facility has a very strong system to funnel people into personal training, there's only so many hours in a schedule. I mean, you can just look at it that way. So, but yeah, when we had multiple facilities, we had a lot of kind of like additions to the head coaches, you know, pay and stuff like that, benefits, I guess. Tried to make it a real job.
Parker or John, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we have a similar compensation structure for one full-time employee. There's some variability within that, depending on how her time's broken up, whether she's coaching classes, doing personal training. There's some additional opportunities to make money in that, but 401k, healthcare, for all our part-time employees, it's an hourly rate, mid-20s for classes, which we usually budget about an hour and a half for classes. And then, so, I mean, some people pay per class, so whatever that works out to, you know, high 30s per class, and then $50 for private sessions. And then something we also do is we encourage our coaches to do specialty courses, whether they want to do a nutrition course, and a lot of structure is up to them, or I'm happy to help them build out a course, or whether they just want to do a weekend seminar to work on gymnastics or weightlifting or a component of weightlifting. We usually cap that to like a small class, and we charge a nominal fee, 20 to 30 bucks per class. And then we give the coach 50% revenue for those classes. So it's an opportunity to build out some additional programs that can really bump their rate of pay and make extra if they want to.
Excellent.
Yep. So similar to these guys, all my coaches are hourly. And so we pay by class, start at about 25 for an opening class, closing class. It's going to be more 30. And then we give raises. So most of my coaches are well beyond that range with like annual raises, usually around 10% or so. We do bonus if we can net 10 new members or more in a month. Then we will bonus with $5 additional dollars per class, and just give that cash bonus, which is nice on those growth months. And then we pay for all their development. So we're blessed. We host L1s, we host L2s. So we get spots to go to those. But I've also paid out of pocket $1,000 for, you know, one of my coaches to go get their L2 as well. And we pay out of pocket for if they want to go take the gymnastics course. And what we'll do is we'll reimburse, because we want that to be an investment of them being here. So, for example, we had a coach last year go and take the gymnastics course. I think it was $600. And so then after she got back, her next 3 monthly paychecks, we added $200 until it was the 600 was reimbursed. So she was reimbursed over the course of about 3.5 months. Once again, because we want her to bring that knowledge back, use that knowledge with the community, versus like, oh yeah, you're going to go to the gymnastics course, here's $600. And then, you know, we find out she puts in her 2 weeks or has to move or something like that. Right. So it's more of, you know, we're going to reimburse as an investment in you bringing this knowledge back, and you teaching and training the community with it. We reimburse for open registration fees, judges course fees, because we want our coaches participating in the open. We want our coaches, you know, to have the judging credentials and be up to speed on those standards. Yeah. So kind of try to take care of all that stuff for them.
I know that can be a tough place for a lot of newer affiliate owners to navigate. And I know that often the payroll hit is a big punch to the stomach when they first see that, especially if they aren't on the schedule as much. At least when I was reaching out and talking to a lot of these affiliate owners like yourselves who are bringing in a lot of revenue and often have a lot of class times available. Payroll is a big hit each month, and that can be, some affiliate owners think like that's the place to tighten it up, but it sounds like you guys are like, not a good idea if you're trying to keep your trainers and keep them happy and think about the long term, right?
Yeah, it's an investment for sure. It's an investment, and and you want to keep them happy. You want to engage them, like what you were saying, right? Like you love to be there and you love to train, and when you can get their hearts and their minds engaged in the work, and have them, like, I love it when my trainers are here taking classes, hanging out before they coach, after they coach. Like it's a beautiful thing for the community. Personal training, we allow them to pick up clients. We will refer some clients here and there. We are kind of, our base charge right now is $75 an hour for personal training. They will get 50 of that, and then we'll just keep 25 as part of the overhead and whatnot. So they get the majority of that personal training revenue, and that's kind of up to them. Like they can let us know if they want more clients and want referrals, but usually they'll kind of establish that on their own in terms of like them getting clients and them figuring out their schedule and whatnot. We just run the financials, the transactions, and then, pay them out with their monthly paycheck.
I would think as an affiliate develops, they're going to have very specific roles and tasks for everybody on the payroll versus in the beginning when you can kind of just pay people randomly, or I've seen people just pay people randomly for like tasks, or have like you're saying, open up with like all these classes and none of them are full. So, I mean, I could see why somebody would want to cut down payroll, but I mean, it'd be your job as a affiliate owner to get people into classes, or actually just set the right number of classes in the beginning. Or if you have people that are doing admin or like trades for weird stuff behind the scenes, you've got to look at all that stuff and make sure it's very clear and you're getting what you think you should be getting out of that sort of payroll.
I'll ask you guys, and this might just be a yes or no, in addition to stuff like maybe the early morning trainers in charge of opening, and there's a bit of a checklist there, but just the basics and similar to the closing trainer. Other than that, are there any have-tos that your training staff are required? I'm looking at like clean the bathrooms, mop the floor. Like, are this on their plate at all? And if so, is that a separate? I feel it's a completely separate job. And if someone wants to apply for that role, that's in addition to, but I have seen some gyms where they're like, well, all my staff is required to XYZ throughout the week. And I'm a little bit blown away by that.
I'm so excited to hear everybody else about this, but our coaches, I'm very adamant about you. I mean, you can't be terrible and like just like leave something like on the floor if there's like a big lump.
No, take care of your training space when you're on the floor.
Our coaches coach. Your job is to be a coach and be an excellent coach. And we do, say, hey, if you're there working out on the side or something, you should, and you see something that you can help with, like toilet paper, yeah, whatever, throw it in. But we do have trades to do a lot of that stuff that you talked about with the cleaning. And usually how we get the trades is we have a cancellation form that when members cancel due to financial reasons, and we've known them for a while, we'll usually reach out and see if it's a good fit for a trade to kind of help them through that spot, especially if it's somebody that we've known for a while. So we have a strong crew and we have somebody that runs those trades. And our admin, like our coaches don't touch computers. I just watched that Dungeons and Dragons movie, and there's like fighters and wizards and stuff. And we have a whole way, and it'd take a little while to go into it, but our coaches, they don't touch computers. They're not leaving notes like red shirt, new membership. Everything's very structured, and they just do a really good job coaching and knowing how to pass off that. I think it's super hard if you try to have somebody stay and clean a 13,000 square foot gym for $25 or something, I don't know, in an hour. It's crazy, but I'm super excited to hear what everybody else says about this.
Just the way we do business, I'm sure it works a lot of times, but I don't do any trades. Very few. There's like one body worker I've known for like 15 years and we do a trade. But man, I don't know. It always feels like it gets murky really quickly. And I'm sure there are ways of doing it efficiently, but I would so much rather just like if somebody needs help, like some financial assistance, I'd rather just give it to them, right? And it's not wrong to do it the other way, but yeah, in terms of coaches and cleaning, like their responsibility is absolutely not to clean the gym. That being said, I also know that all of my coaches, if someone makes a mess and leaves it there, are going to take care of it, because they're not going to just leave it until the cleaners come that night. It's their gym. They have ownership of it. It's basically like you have to establish from the top down that this is like, you care about it, you're detail oriented, you don't let things go, you are willing to take care of things yourself. I mean, if you walk around like you're the gym owner, so you shouldn't have to do something, that's going to trickle down too. So, if they see you just cleaning up after them, even, it sets a precedence.
Yep. Yeah, so my coaches aren't responsible for cleaning. We do have a cleaning crew, and part of the compensation for the cleaning crew is a comp membership, but we also pay them on top of that. And then one of my members of the cleaning crew is my teenage daughter, and it's great, training her on how to thoroughly clean. And she every Sunday she's in there deep cleaning the bathrooms. But we also have other folks that clean and have responsibilities. We have one lady that vacuums the whole gym several times a week. I would say what my coaches are responsible for are leading a culture of consideration. So at the end of the workout, okay, guys, make sure to wipe down your seats and handles on your bikes and rowers. Let's make sure to sanitize the barbells as we're putting them back, right? So that they are tasked with leading that culture of, cleaning up after yourself. But they're doing that as part of the wrap up in their classes. They're not, staying after class to do any sort of cleaning. But at the same time, like Parker said, if there is somebody accidentally kicked over the chalk bucket, or, there is a big mess that was made, they will jump in and help clean it up, because everybody, wants to keep the space clean and looking good.
That's awesome. Can I send my teenage girls up for some hard lessons in the cleaning bathrooms?
And that's definitely on our checklist too, for the coaches, is how they get the class is how the facility leaves. And I think as a facility owner, if I don't know, we have 7 mop buckets around the facility, like black mop buckets with the black carbon fiber looking handles so they don't look dirty. And every member mops their square after class every time. And we have spray bottles at every chalk area, because the chalk makes a mess, the spray bottle cleans it up. And the members always clean up their area and what they do. And so there's not a lot of gyms, if I'm mentoring people, they leave, like the last coach of the day is supposed to clean up all this stuff from everybody. It's crazy.
Yeah. Blows my mind.
I will say, Parker, I'm with you. I'm not a huge fan of just the barters, like you do this and you get this comped. Because once again, it feels like it can get murky, or all of a sudden they'll just stop showing up, right? Like, oh yeah, if you clean for your membership and then something happens in their life or whatever, and then they, there's just not a lot of commitment there. So like I mentioned, we have some kind of agreements in place where, the comp to membership is part of their compensation package. But, there's also some financials involved, and then there's also clear list of responsibilities involved that we can follow up on, just to make sure that we're seeing eye to eye and have a good contract that we're executing.
And to clarify, I had been the worst at just random stuff in the past, especially when I had 5 facilities. But our trades, we only have a limited spots for them, and they are on a 2-month cycle. That way, if anybody else does cycle off, they're not renewed. And generally, we only pick people that we know that are having some sort of issue. And like Parker said, I don't mind financially comping people just anyway. They don't have to do a trade. It's just those people are the ones that we feel like, I would never, if somebody like emailed us, hey, I'd like to do a trade for photography. We don't do anything like that. We don't do trades for like just random stuff. It's only, we have a limited spots for certain specific roles that they have to check on. If they don't do it, they don't get renewed. Otherwise, yes.
Feel uncomfortable receiving that level of charity. And so they're almost like, what can I give to the community? What can I give back? And I see how you can find a place where, all right, well, cleaning this and that, or, admin input or whatever it may be, that that is up their alley, and you're like, then they at least get to feel like they are committing. And like you said, you vetted them here, but I hear both sides on that for sure.
I would not get into a bunch of random trades. I just wouldn't. I mean, for us, we have this specific system. I wouldn't do trades for admin. I wouldn't do trades for social media. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't do, but it's highly context specific. And I've seen a bunch of different facilities work different things. On general, I think what these guys are saying with staying away from trades is the way to do it. But if you do have a way that works for you, it could work. But then you can also, because you're so friendly, people take advantage of it. And like they said, there's not an end to it, most affiliates. So they just have this infinite trade, and it's hard to get people back on membership if they were.
Well, it sounds like you have a degree of structure to it. And I think that that's something that's very important. It's kind of like you want your coaches to be professional, so you treat them like professionals, right? It's not like, hey, and by the way, clean up the bathroom at the end. You're like, no, you're a professional coach. So that's what you're responsible. Now, of course, if there's something that needs to be done, I expect you to do it too, because you're a professional, right? Same thing when it comes to if you're going to hire somebody for an aspect of your business, whether it's, cleaning. I want professional cleaners, and I want professional, admin work done. And if I'm going to do photography, I want a professional photographer. Only maybe I'll just pretend to do it and do a poor job. So, but I think it's that degree of professionalism that is really important when you're dealing with any kind of staffing.
What about training staff? We've got like this idea of we got to train them on the culture and what my expectations are of them. And then we've got to also train them on their actual craft, their coaching skills, where there's obviously an element of continuing education outside of the gym, but also there may be recurring opportunities within the gym, maybe led by you, maybe led by someone on your team that is staff development. How do you guys balance that? How do you train? You can get into onboarding, but also more so just like ongoing.
Ongoing feels like challenge. I feel that's an area that, I've been a bit distracted actually in terms of not doing a great job. I've been a bit distracted recently just with life stuff going on. I've still been present, hanging in there, but we haven't been doing a lot of continuing education right now. The biggest issue that I'm finding right now is that most of my coaches, everybody in here is proficient at coaching any aspect of CrossFit. They could offer assistance to a high level athlete or take somebody brand new up to a degree of proficiency. The biggest, I think, challenge and where the coaches struggle the most is helping people stay in the game. Dealing with nagging injuries and tweaks and major skeletal or muscular imbalances. That's the aspect of coaching that I find personally the most challenging. I've been coaching my whole life now, 25 years, and doing CrossFit since 2008. So I've learned a lot along the way, but I think that's the aspect that coaches need the most help with. And that's where I'm probably not, I'm failing to pass along my knowledge, but, we've done better jobs in the past with doing continue getting together on a regular basis. It's just hard to get the staff together to do that kind of group training. So.
I agree with Parker. Our number one business opportunity is clearly retention, engaging members over the long term, helping people stay in the game. And an important aspect of that is continue, even though they've been with us for 2-3 years, continuing to help them refine their movements, to make breakthroughs, to be on this strength cycle so that they can hit a PR at the, at the end of the 8 weeks or 10 weeks. So there's a lot that we do invest in, and I agree. This is one that, life gets busy and it can fall to the back burner. But we try to do a monthly meeting where there is a developmental topic. Actually, at the affiliate summit back in January, they gave us some tools as part of the binder. I brought back and shadowed all of my coaches. Said, hey, yep, I'm going to shadow your classes. I regularly take my coaches' classes. And I really try to create this culture of growth and development and feedback. So every time I take my coach's class, I try to give them a couple of things that I thought was really cool and they did a nice job of. And then something like, hey, when during the whiteboard brief, I would just add a little bit more context around the weight that should be used as part of the Metcon. You know, for example, you could use a rep count, or you could say, you know, this or that. So I try to always give them something that they can improve a little bit on, but also give them some things that I really liked and really enjoyed about their class. And then I also do have an L4 seminar flow master on staff. So Rory Zambard, and she's offered to help shadow some of my coaches, and it is an added expense. So when I first thought about that, and and how much, it's like, oh man, this is going to add to that payroll cost, which is one of our biggest costs. But at the end of the day, you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. Rory's super passionate about it. She wants to do it. It's great for my coaches. So not only do I shadow my coaches, but also Rory helps to shadow the coaches as well and provide them with the specific feedback. And I actually had quite a few coaches come back to me and thank me and say that's so cool that Rory's shadowing my class. Kind of back to that professionalism, right? They really feel like they're being treated as a professional. And I even had a member walk up to me and he's like, Christy was coaching me while I was doing my snatch, and Rory was coaching Christy while Christy was coaching me. And he thought it was so cool, that we have that structure and we're that passionate about how we're teaching and training our community.
I think this is such an important topic. And I don't know if anybody else, I'm totally fine to go a little later. I really would love to hear, maybe it could be another call too, about how people's admin staffing is set up. Because I think at these larger facilities, that's something that is very opaque to the newer facilities. But for our coaches, I think feedback, exactly what John was saying, whenever somebody joins as our coaching staff, I have this weird little sheet that's like, if I knew that a member said something about your class, would you want to know it? Are you willing to accept any sort of feedback from me? Or would you rather me kind of have it in the back of my head and walk by you for 2 months and never tell you? And everybody's committed to getting feedback because it's hard. If, somebody hears something on a business end, the goal of a coach is to not have members quit, which is basically keep retention. But I try to make sure that coaches are very open to feedback, and on the flip side, I take their feedback when I make mistakes, and I will, and I do. And I think there are some big things like the monthly meetings, but for a lot of owners, it's that day-to-day, just like John said, getting in the class, providing a little bit of feedback, being positive, catching people do the right things. Like you text people all the time, hey, that was really cool, thanks for that photo. Or if somebody leaves a Google Maps review, you're like, hey, your name was in a Google Maps review, and following up with the coaches. And our big thing is, if coaches are super interested, I get them involved with our programming for the different cycles or scaling our programming up and down, because as we have these meetings about programming, and I can sit there and talk to them about, well, this is why I would pick this weight for RX, or this is how I would scale it for our low. We have 3 versions on the whiteboard, essentially. That gets them the coaches ed that's relevant to the classes they're going to teach. And as they start to do some programming, they make sure the other coaches don't mess it up, and they'll text them like, hey, don't mess this up. This is my week. And that's a little dicier, but that's very consistent if you get people in there and you can integrate them in the programming somehow, because you can pass on how you want the gym to be viewed and how that goes.
Very cool. I would say, yeah, only other couple things I wanted to talk about was really if anyone has any how you keep your staff. Like, is there a lot of staff turnover at your place? And if it's really goes back to what we kind of started the call off with, which make the job a desirable job, and you're not going to have the staff turnover that I think a lot of gyms experience. But if you're like, nope, it's just the name of the game. My average trainer stays about 1.5 years, and then I start all over, call that out. But if anyone has any kind of quick tip on what they've found works there.
I mean, don't get a new coach and just abuse them. I see a lot of new affiliate owners that, like Parker was saying, you're working, as an owner, you're working all the classes, you get a new coach and you're like, okay, cool. You're going to take every evening class and come in on Sunday. And you got somebody there for 1 hour one day, they have to drive in, but they're here 6 other days of the week. And it goes from 0 to 60. And then you just don't talk to them. And you're like, never see that morning coach. And they're doing it for a while and they just get burnt out. I mean, that's not a recipe for success, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah, great call out. We definitely ease our coaches into the schedule. We've got one onboarding this month, and I think they have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 classes across the whole month, and then we'll slowly up that as make sure it's a good fit. We definitely have turnover, but we like to stay in front of it. You know, so I know I've got Steve, one of my trainers, who's going to get his MBA on the East Coast in the fall. And we've been talking about it for months. And so we've been, kind of aligning a backfill and whatnot. So in these trainer roles, they are great, like stepping stone positions. And we've got another gentleman that's in college. And as he's finishing up, he's thinking about going into the police academy. So we've got our eye on that as well. So there's definitely turnover. We just don't want it to be a surprise. I don't want someone walking in and putting in their 2 weeks, right? Like I want to know months out so I can plan and prepare.
I mean, over time as an affiliate owner, you'll see the signs if somebody's going to be getting burnt out, and it's whether you ignore it or not. I mean, honestly, you're going to see it in the quality of the class or how fast somebody moves around the class, or whether they're just, there's going to be a lot of signs to see that somebody's burnt out. And, you should jump in and take some of their classes. Have them.
Don't ignore the signs.
Yes.
And a lot of people are just there to coach a little bit and have a great time. And they're, it's about making their life good too. Like they're your client in a way, like helping them with their programming and looking at what they're doing personally, making sure that they're there enjoying the gym. Sometimes as an owner, you don't get to enjoy the gym as much as you want because it's a place of work. But I mean, for a lot of the coaches, they should enjoy coming in,
Yeah, that's huge. And I was just having this conversation with one of our early morning coaches who, is in school as well. And she's like, I didn't expect this 30-page paper mid term. So I jumped in, took a couple of her classes, asked one of our other coaches, take another one of her early morning days. And she just really appreciated it. So having that open channel of communication and making sure that they know that they can ask for help when they're starting to feel overwhelmed before they get super burnt out. And actually this conversation stemmed from, this coach has been with us for 3-4 years. And I did get some negative member feedback, and it was and had these conversations with her that, hey, like, it just seems like there's some chippiness going on and some kind of comments that are inconsiderate that are being made, and it's stemmed from her just being burnt out and overtired, and we lessened her load, and so then now she's like, I learned from that, now I'm asking for help proactively because I'm feeling stressed out about this. So it was really cool, based off of a situation that happened a while ago where she did receive some constructive criticism. Now she's proactively asking for help before she gets in a place where, she's showing up to work and she doesn't want to be there and she's stressed out.
Well, I want to be respectful of your guys' time. If you were interested in staying on for another few minutes, the only last question I had was really what Bryant kind of called out, which was admin staffing. How does this work at your gym? Is this one person or multiple people? And what is the skill set you may look for that? Is that someone with prior skills in this area, maybe from a previous job? Or is this something that you kind of can, you teach to anyone? You just look for the right personality? And if so, what is that? But again, if anyone has to hop, totally understandable. Kept you guys for an hour or so. But if anyone has any input on that or you struggled.
I'm fine to stay on a little bit.
And I'd like to hear from these guys because my wife and I do all the admin, and it might be a nice avenue for us at some point to hire some of that out. But we take care of all the email. My wife does all the social media. We do all the administrative stuff. We use Zen Planner, which is really nice for our reservations, our POS, all of our auto pays. So we manage Zen Planner software application, which does a ton for our community and admin as well. We answer all the calls.
We break it up. I mean, my partner Shannon and I do a degree of admin work broken up, social media, all the correspondence, new member inquiries and that sort of thing. Our full-time employee is she has a skill set in admin as well. So she handles a lot of we have Zen Planner as well. Don't love it. But she handles that, all the member interface in terms of membership management. She does that, retail inventory and that sort of thing. So we're just lucky that to give her a full-time, that's how she can stay busy when she's not coaching.
And for us, I think, everybody knows being an athlete doesn't make being a good coach. And I think sometimes being a coach doesn't mean you're a good owner. And there's different skill sets. And I am not really good at being like the same thing every week consistently. So I've hired people that kind of help me behind the scenes. And I'm pretty good at doing systems and automations and things like that. And we have one person, or both of our admin people are kind of hourly, but it's very structured what they do. We have one person that kind of takes people from the leads to when they sign up and manages all of our kind of inboxes. And we have another person that kind of manages a lot of the stuff that's happening while they're in the gym, with kind of credit card declines, follow-ups, expirations, and then stocking our merchandise, which we have a ton of merchandise and stuff like that. And it's all very structured what they're supposed to do every week. And then I just check in and help, and then I help iterate those systems so that it's smoother, everything that's an issue with them. And that really helps me, because I'm really bad at being on a schedule every week, the same thing every week. But in the past, I've had admin people where I paid them like a salary, and I didn't have it very structured. This is like 10 years ago. And they were getting paid a lot to just kind of not do a lot. And I was getting angry at like, oh man, why don't you do something? Or why don't you do this? And I really had to read a lot of books on the management and setting up things and being helpful to what the expectations of what they should be doing. Otherwise, if you just set somebody up on salary and you don't give them a lot to do, I mean, it's going to be hard for them. Well, let me develop a CRM system to follow up with people. I mean, you're going to have to provide that. But it's all very structured, and the coaches know what to do to pass people off. And I think that's something that really helps an owner free up their time if they want to coach more or do coaches development, and they're not putting out fires or, stuff like that.
Is this person more behind the scenes for you guys? I know sometimes it's yourself, but if you were going to hire someone for this role, are they more behind the scenes, or are they more like forward facing and they're kind of the first face? You have a front desk, they're the person calling people back. They're the one responding on social media. How do you like to play it?
I'd be excited to know if anybody has a front desk, because I think if you ever had a front desk and you paid them hourly, they would make way more than coaches, because there's way more hours for front desk, but there's also not as much to do. But our person that does all the lead intake, she was at the gym, but she's been remote for 3 years now. She's in Connecticut. We're in Hawaii.
Oh.
And she follows up with everything. And the person that takes all of the in-house stuff, he's at the gym. And, but I guess her name's Isabel. I mean, she could really be a bot. Nobody knows. They haven't met her.
She used to be a member?
Oh yeah, no, she used to be a member. Her coach was a member, and they were in the military and they moved, and we're like, oh, really? I guess you could just do it there, and everything was set up very well. And I mean, she's so responsible. I mean, you'd never want to hire somebody for back end work that you have to worry if they're going to check an inbox. I mean, you can't do that. Yeah. That you wouldn't hire me for that, for sure.
There definitely is a type, right? A type of person that you have to find. Very detail oriented. So think choosing those descriptions wisely if you are thinking of hiring someone part-time or full-time for that. I do think that is a job that many affiliate owners take on. It sounds like at least 2 out of 3 of you guys are falling into that camp. So something to consider for the affiliate owners out there, that if they know that's not their strong suit, definitely to get some help with that sooner than later.
And I don't know if you guys would think like this, but if you have a coach that does a lot of like, let's say you have a coach that's going to like sign up memberships or something, or follow up credit card declines. If there's a choice between coaching and following up credit card declines, they're always going to want to do coaching. So that's kind of why I keep it separate, because coaching is a little more fun for coaches.
Well, I really appreciate you guys, all of your input. This has been really helpful, at least for me. Hopefully others can get something out of that. I would love it if there's anything you guys wanted to either wrap up with, or if you'd like to kind of pass along your maybe Instagram, if people ever wanted to reach out, or if you're like, don't talk to me, I don't want to hear from you. That's also fine, but feel free to drop that if, I mean, you already said your names and your affiliate owners, so, or your affiliate name, sorry, so they should be able to find you, but if anyone wanted to.
I mean, if everybody comes out to vacation to Honolulu, we love hosting visitors. We have a ton of visitors. So if you're ever on vacation, just drop in, super easy on the website, just hit a pass. We'd love to help you have a great vacation.
Hopefully we all get to take you up on that. Well, thanks again, everyone. And maybe we'll see you again on the next call.
All right. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.